Top 10 facts about sex. Wait, what? That sounds amazing. Top 10 facts. Sex. We can watch this to warm up and then... Okay. Okay, you got me, boys. Sex at Part 2 with Professor Dr. TommyKay. Send me your mom's phone number. Thank you. Go back, we're gonna watch it afterwards, but we're still in sex ed right now. I know it's hard for you guys.
These days, people are getting divorced left and right. It's really...
I actually don't know if I ever want to get married, not as disrespect to my girlfriend or something, just that the whole concept of marriage is so overhauled. It doesn't... You know, it's just an old relic from the past. You don't need it anymore, you know? And then if you get divorced, which happens, man, after 40 years, people break up. It's normal. It happens. You don't have all that stress with divorce and stuff, you know?
Not an issue in most parts of the world. You can get divorced for any reason, really. Back in the day, as in way back in the day, like a couple of centuries ago, it wasn't such an easy task. During the 16th and 17th century in France, male impotence was considered a crime and thus legal grounds for a divorce. Basically, if you couldn't get it up, your wife could legally end the marriage. No fucking pressure, or should I say no fucking pressure. And as you can imagine, wives saw this as a way to escape their marriage for any reason really, as all they had to do was accuse their husband of incompetence. Of course, it wasn't that simple though. You see, as with any crime, you need evidence to prove that what you say is in fact true. So when a husband was charged with the crime of erectile dysfunction, he was to demonstrate his powers of erection before an expert team of priests, surgeons and midwives. These experts would carefully examine his equipment to reach an opinion on its elastic tension, natural motion and ability to ejaculate. Should he, against all odds, fail this test, he had but one option left: to demand trial by Congress, wherein he would be given 2 hours to have sex with his accuser, his wife, as the ultimate proof that he could indeed perform in the bedroom.
Imagine you have 2 hours to fuck your wife or you're really in trouble, man. Jesus
Should he
Lord.
fail this test as well, it would not only result in the dissolution of the marriage, he would also be ridiculed by the public for many years to come.
Jesus Christ, man.
When you're having sex, is it possible to get stuck, unable to pull out, so to speak?
Sure, why wouldn't it? Obviously, the female orgasm is a contradiction and cramps of the inner vaginal muscles, so it could be possible that they are cramping so hard that you could get stuck, obviously.
And don't claim you haven't thought about this, we have all thought about this, and believe it or not, it's not a myth.
The crazy thing is you can break your penis. It happened to Dieter Bohlen, famous German guy. He was sitting and a girl was riding him, and they will put it back in, and it will break. His penis will... And he had to go to the hospital. That fucking shit exists, man. You can break your dick. There's even a name for it. Like the muscle is gonna get fucked, you know?
It is actually possible. But what are words compared to an illustration?
Really exists,
so, let me illustrate.
Twitch, right? This is educational content chat. Twitch. Twitch, this is an 18+ channel. Anyone below 18 is not... Yeah, it's
I actually went to the store and bought a pack of donuts and sausages just for this video. This phenomenon...
Does a donut with sausage taste good? It could. You always eat sausage with bread, but never with donut.
Even has a name, which is penis captivus. While science isn't entirely sure why this is happening, what is happening is that the muscles of the vagina clamp down on the penis, which makes it impossible to withdraw. Luckily, this is an
It's actually a thing that we see in nature a lot. Welcome to Sex Ed, where during the orgasms of the female, not only with humans but all other mammals too, the inner vagina muscles are cramping because they want to hold the ejaculating penis inside to make sure that the sperm stays inside and actually has a chance to get to the egg.
Extremely rare thing, and in case it should ever happen to you, it usually only lasts for a couple of minutes. Usually. Out of context, things such as a person's saliva, sweat, semen, and body odor is often seen as very disgusting. So why aren't we more disgusted by sex and other...
There's people like that though, isn't there? Like, who wants to have sex with someone that stinks and isn't showered or so, you know?
Other sexual interactions. A study was conducted to find out why, and what they found was that sexual arousal actually lowers your level of disgust, which in turn allows...
Well, chat. non-subs, all you gotta do is make her aroused, man, and the disgust levels go
Just to
down. You have a
regard
chance.
sex as a very pleasant experience instead of an unpleasant, disgusting one. Disgust-induced avoidance is the scientific term for not wanting to do something disgusting, and normally you would not want to drink from this glass of juice with a dead insect in it. If you're sexually aroused, however, it's a lot more likely that you won't care and take a sip anyway. Not only do women have longer, multiple and more intense orgasms, they have other ways of achieving it than just regular sex. For
Yeah, I feel like a lot of young guys don't know this stuff, man.
example, as much as 15% of women can achieve orgasm by working out.
Okay, I never
The
heard
more
that.
scientific term for it would be exercise-induced orgasms,
Oh,
but
man.
it's more commonly
I would
referred
love
to
to
as
have that. Imagine, man, you're a real chat in the gym. You're like, you just fucking coom all over the place, man.
orgasm, as
Unfair,
it happens
yeah.
when performing certain ab exercises. It's not entirely clear how this happens, but
Interesting.
it is, unfortunately for all men, a women exclusive. Anywhere from 1 to 5% of women can also climax by stimulation of their nipples alone, a so-called nipple-gasm. Of course, women doesn't get all the fun, as guys have a much higher chance of actually having an orgasm in the first place. In many studies, men climax around 80% of the time during regular intercourse, while
What? 20% of men do not come during sex? What? What? That is the craziest thing I've ever heard. Only 80% of men of the time, 80% of the time during regular sex, a man comes. What? What? 20% are just like, oh yeah, let's just stop. It's not like I need this. What?
women orgasm as seldom as 25% of the
Yeah,
time.
very important. Dude, all jokes aside, dead serious, to all the young men watching the stream today, something I had also to learn. It's so important. And once again, if you watch porn all the time, right, it's never about the female orgasm. When you step into the real world and start having sex with women, you will realize something. It is very hard for women to have orgasms sometimes, which is totally normal and natural, and it's just who they are, man. It's so important to learn that sometimes you gotta take your time, man. If you have sex with a woman for 3 times and you never made her come, don't fucking, oh man, I suck, oh, it's her fault. No, just fucking use your head for a second. There's probably something going on, maybe a trauma, maybe something biological. It's very normal, and you should just talk about it, man. It's such an important thing, man. Very important, dude.
If you want to give both parties the maximum probability of success, oral sex is the way to go. Size does, in fact, matter.
Bad news for a lot of non-subs here today. Size does matter. Yes. It's pretty fucking clear that women that say the size doesn't matter really are just trying to make you feel better, man. Because it's biologically proven. First of all, the length is important because the head of the penis hitting the behind wall of the inside of the vagina, I forgot the English name, is one part for an orgasm. And other than that, the thickness of the penis is very important because a lot of stimulating sensors of the women are around in the vaginal tube, and thickness is also important. So if you have a very skinny, short one, it's very hard to reach certain sensory points. It sucks. The cervix, yes.
Not necessarily in the way you think, though, as research have found that fat men last significantly longer in bed compared to more slender and fit men. Heavier men are able to make love for an average of 7.3 minutes, while men
Jeez, man, what a marathon.
with a more healthy BMI only last for an average of 1.8 minutes. The reason for this is female hormones. Men with excess fat has higher levels of the female sex
The more fat you are, the more you are a woman. And want to fuck women less. That's what they
hormone
just
called
said.
estradiol. This substance disrupts their body's natural male chemicals and slow down their progression towards orgasm.
That's why I always ask for help of my wife's boyfriend.
The average length of an erect human penis is roughly between 13
that's the
and
average.
15 centimeters, and a penis with a length
Everyone watching this right now is like, oh shit, or, okay. Everyone right now is like, yeah, okay. I'm in trouble.
of less than 7 centimeters is medically referred to as a microbe.
Shit, it's not funny. It's not funny. I'm not gonna laugh. Because it's no one's fault. You're fucking born with this, and it's not fair to laugh about that. That's penis racism. Laughing about another human for something he has nothing. It's not his fault. It's not fair.
Penis.
Not fair.
Now, the question is, of course, is it
fair.
big enough? Studies show that around half of all men think their dick is too small, while 7 out of 8 women think their man's
So that shows that men are always thinking too much. We're actually looking better than we think.
length is just fine. So for the most part, size isn't as significant as many men seem to think it is. On the other hand, the average depth of the human vagina
True though, right? In my opinion, size is important, but what's so much more important, 10 times more, is your skill. How do you handle stuff? What do you know and stuff? That's so much
is anywhere between 6 and 13 centimeters. So all this makes you wonder why we associate a large penis with manlyhood, because for the most part of history it's
Yeah, isn't the entire human history actually based about penis size? If you look at history, it's mostly penis size. Everything.
actually been the other way
Everything that ever happened
around.
in the world.
From ancient
can
Greece
be
to
put down
ancient
to penis
Rome,
size.
all the way up to the Renaissance, a small penis was better. In
It's
fact,
always
in
who
many
has the bigger
plays and stories, male characters were punished
Greek have small pee-pee. In antique Greek architecture, also seen again in the Renaissance, the penis of the male has been shown very, very small to make a certain Renaissance, antique Renaissance thought. And that is that the sexual drive and instinct of the male is smaller, while the head is mostly out of proportions, meaning in the end that thinking, logical thinking, philosophy is more important than sex. That's what they try to show with these small penises on these statues.
by receiving a much larger penis. Michelangelo's David is another example.
Yeah, I literally saw that guy this year, and they tell you it's because it has to be
It
about.
wasn't until the late
For example, his hands and his head are out of proportion, because Michelangelo wanted to show that this is about
1800s and early 1900s when
knowledge,
pornographic
reason,
photography
logic,
and
and not
motion
sex,
pictures
sex.
paved the way for the modern porn industry. And a large focus of porn is namely the
Dude, Ace, 2 years ago, I went to my grandpa, right? My grandpa is like 83, and he's a weird guy. And he says, yeah, go into the room, I'm gonna pee. And I walk into his room, and he has like this big table with a lot of shit, right? Like, he lives really like a messy. And I see pictures, man. And I looked at them, and he just had these 10 black and white pictures of naked women from the 50s or something. And that was how he consumed porn. That was so interesting. He looks at 10 black and white pictures from a million years ago, and that is like his porn. So interesting, man.
penis.
Yeah.
It wasn't long until bigger meant better, and comically large penises, much like gigantic breasts, took center stage.
Give him a tablet. Oh man, that's
Around 25% of all men say that they have faked
Yes.
an orgasm.
Yes.
You might be wondering how that's possible, but men can actually orgasm without ejaculating, which means that faking it isn't that much of a problem. On the other hand, over 70% of
women are
women
probably faking
claim
often.
to have faked it.
makes sense.
For the longest time, it was believed that humans were the only creatures
Philip,
that had
what is wrong
sex
with you,
for
man?
pleasure. We now know that this isn't the case, as quite a few animals have been observed doing just that. Some examples are dolphins, hyenas, seahorses, and bonobo apes. And it's not just in the form of regular sex, no. Bonobo apes in particular are extremely diverse in their sexual behavior. Things
Yeah, they sometimes have sex male on male to establish dominance again, or relationship
such as
status.
masturbation, homosexuality, bisexuality, oral sex, and necrophilia are just a few things that bonobos do all the time. And I really mean all the time. They use sexual acts to resolve conflicts, to greet each other, and as bargaining for trading food. As a result, bonobo apes are an
Not much has
extremely
changed.
peaceful species. Being a virgin over a certain age is very stigmatized in many parts of
That's
the
really
world.
stupid.
In the United States and Europe, for example, most
What? In the Western world, when is being a virgin kind of frowned upon? I would think 21, 22. Which is stupid, man. Fuck that shit. Just take your time, man. Right? Look at all these idiots, man. They became pregnant when they were 16 and their lives are fucked, man. Don't even ever worry about that. After 25?
people have sex for the first time between
You guys
the
are
ages
very
of
different with your
16
answers.
and 18, but almost 30% of people between the ages of 15 and 24
Yeah, which
are
is totally
still
fine, man.
virgins.
Totally
Not only
fine.
that, but most
22
women
still
who
lose it,
lose
don't
their
fucking
virginity
worry about
between the
that
ages
shit.
of 16
So
and
whatever.
18 wish that they had waited a little longer. And while
was
it's
also a
difficult
late
to
starter.
say, anywhere
I
from
was
1
18,
to
and I thought that
4%
was
of
very
all
late.
people in the
I thought that
US
was late,
die
man.
without ever having sex. A few famous people are known or at least highly suspected to have died as virgins as well. For example,
if
Isaac
you stayed a
Newton,
virgin, you became
Nikola
a genius.
Tesla,
Look at these
Andy
guys. These
Warhol,
guys did so much for the fucking world.
Queen Elizabeth
in the end, she
I,
stopped you,
J.
man.
Edgar Hoover, and Joseph Cornell, among others. During the 13th century, Genghis Khan founded and ruled the Mongol
He's gonna say that like every 10th human on Earth is
Empire, the largest land empire in all of history. In his quest for dominance, around 40 million people or so were killed in his name. At the time, that was 10% of the entire world's population. Now, like most guys, Genghis Khan liked sex. Very much so, in fact, because Genghis Khan did not fuck around when it came to fucking around. He had so much sex with so many women that today, around 16 million men are direct descendants of Genghis Khan. That's 1 in
200. 6 guys in chat right now are descendant of Genghis Khan. And I think Lisa is. If you look at Lisa's family, she looks really Mongolian. I really believe Genghis Khan.
Every 200 men alive today, and a staggering 10% of all men who reside within the borders of the now long-gone Mongol Empire are his descendants. It's not known how many lovers he had, but estimates range from a couple of hundreds to several thousands.
1 in 200 people is
I wonder if he felt
so
like he had to give something
that
back
guy's the ultimate guinea pig
to the world after taking so many from it. Nah, I probably just
How does that no sexual disease from that? Jesus Christ, man. Okay, we have one more video and then we have a Hoiper roleplay game. I have 20 minutes left. It goes 20 minutes. Circadia 3301 and Internet Mystery. I have no idea what this is. I have no idea what this is talking about. It's multiplayer, yes.
On the 4th of January 2012, a user on 4chan posted this image to the site's infamous B or random board. The anonymous author, who went by the 4-digit pseudonym 3301, challenged users to uncover a message hidden within the image. Unbeknownst to those who stumbled across it, someone had just set in motion one of the most elaborate scavenger hunts the internet has ever seen.
In the end, it's just a Coca-Cola
Within
commercial.
minutes of the image being posted, someone discovered that by opening the file using a text editor, an appended string of readable text could be found. The string contained a cipher that, once deciphered, formed a link to yet another image. At first, this appeared to be a dead end, but using an application known as OutGuess, users were able to extract hidden information embedded within the first image. The extracted information led to a subreddit, which in turn contained information about the book. The book, along with a code, could then be used to uncover a phone number that, when called, played this pre-recorded message.
Okay, so far I'm thinking, why? Why? I feel like some weird millionaire that wants to give someone $1 million, but why?
Very good. You have done well. There are 3 prime numbers associated with the original final.jpg image. 3301 is one of them. You will have to find the other 2. Multiply all 3 of these numbers together and add a .com on the end to find the next step. Good luck. Goodbye.
CIA recruitment program.
By the following day, the initial image had been reposted all over the internet. A growing community of armchair detectives sought to unravel this elaborate puzzle, but no one was quite sure what to make of it. What was the puzzle for? Who was behind it? What happens when you reach the end? Some naturally dismissed it as an elaborate joke, while others perceived its complexity as evidence against it being the work of a mere troll. Before long, rumors began to circulate that this could be the work of some secret society or intelligence agency, with the intent of recruiting individuals proficient in cryptography, steganography, and other related fields. Of course, it was nothing but a rumor. The 2 missing numbers mentioned in the recording proved to be the dimensions of the original image. After multiplying the width and height with 3301 and using the product as a web address, users were taken to a website. The website consisted of a countdown.
Isn't that from The Silence of the Lambs, Hannibal Lecter?
As well as an image of a cicada. When the countdown reached 0, the page was updated with a list of coordinates. The coordinates pointed to locations around the globe, 14 locations in 5 different countries. It was now up to participants living near the specified coordinates to rise from their comfortable armchairs and venture outside. Those who believed Cicada to be the work of an organization now felt their beliefs had been justified. In their opinion, only some international collective possessed the means and resources to create a scavenger hunt of this magnitude. This was not the work of your average troll. No,
you have to leave your house though, so 90% of people unfortunately.
At each location was a poster with a cicada symbol and a QR code.
On the bike shelter over here. See, I got it right there. Oh. You can see the corners.
So interesting though, only he has it, no one else.
The codes linked to an image, the image contained a riddle, the riddle led to a book, and the book led to a website. But here, the puzzle took an unexpected turn. Only a select group of first arrivals to this website were accepted into the final stage of the puzzle. The site eventually closed down with the message, "We want the best, not the followers." The finalists were also warned not to collaborate with others nor to share the details of this private stage of the puzzle. Well, given that we know this, it's safe to say that not everyone heeded that warning. But those who did, presumably advanced through the final stages.
I will not even do the first stage of this game. I'd look at the fucking thing and be like, fuck off, I'm playing Magic.
Before reaching the very end of the puzzle. After nearly a month of silence, an image appeared on the subreddit announcing the conclusion of the puzzle, and just like that, the hunt was over. Cicada had supposedly found the highly intelligent individuals they were looking for, and whatever happened to them is a bit of a mystery, but more on that in a moment. The complete lack of an explanation was perceived by many as confirmation that the puzzle had been nothing but a wild...
I think they made the dev team for Among Us.
...goose chase intent on wasting everyone's time. After all, questions raised by the original image remained unanswered. What was the puzzle for? Who was behind it? What happens when you reach the end? However, as it later turned out, this was only the beginning.
I've never heard of this before.
Whomever was behind this intricate game had the foresight to include an authentication code known as a PGP signature along with every clue. This allowed users to verify that an image or message was actually from Cicada, as opposed to some imposter seeking to derail or hijack the puzzle. Cicada had repeatedly warned of such false paths and insisted that any message lacking a valid PGP signature should promptly be disregarded. That's why this image, posted exactly a year and a day after the first, provoked such a frenzy. After a year of lackluster imitations, this image finally matched the official PGP signature. Cicada was back, and it was time for round 2. The second puzzle was not too dissimilar from the first. The image enclosed a message, the message led to a book, the book produced a link, and gradually the puzzle unfolded. At one point, a recording titled "The Instar Emergence" was uncovered. Another clue led to a cryptic Twitter account, which then led to an image. The image proved vital to the progression of the puzzle, but the inclusion of this runic alphabet would remain a mystery for quite some time. Much like the first puzzle, the second swelled into the physical world for quite some time.
Yeah, my merch is based on this. Yeah, a bit different, an older one from the Vikings.
Much like the first puzzle, the second swelled...
Maybe Vikings and Paris is involved
into the physical world.
Was Tommy looking for mods on Twitch?
When a list of coordinates compelled participants to once again take to the streets in search of enigmatic posters. This time it was 8 locations in 4 different countries. But eventually the trail went cold once again. Another select group of first arrivals had been accepted into a final, private stage of the puzzle. Unlike the first puzzle, the second did not conclude with an official message from Cicada. The trail merely went cold, and Cicada vanished once more, leaving us no closer to an explanation.
You think it's the
However,
game?
this was still not the end.
The thing is, this is so fucking epic now that if the conclusion in the end is just some bullshit, it's gonna be really sad.
At the beginning of 2014, it was time for round 3. Once again, the image enclosed a message, the message led to a book, the book produced a link, and suffice it to say, it was more of the same. Except this time, the puzzle seemed to revolve around a strange book. The book was titled Liber Primus, meaning first book in Latin, and was evidently written by Cicada. The runic alphabet uncovered in 2013 finally made sense, as the book was primarily written in runes. Even so, the meaning of the translated pages were cryptic at best.
Listen, I don't know where this is gonna go, but my boomer self is right now thinking, Jesus man, get a life. Okay, I like 10 years ago I would have been, whoa, that's epic, but like, I'm older now, I feel like, whoa man, this better has a good conclusion, or you just wasted a lot of fucking time. The book consisted of various philosophical and ideological ideas and appeared to be their manifesto. Many have since compared the strange writings to that of a cult. Nevertheless, the book also comprised a myriad of clues and code. Dude, if it would be a rig wall, if that's a rig wall, oh my god.
For example, this page advised participants to seek out a website on the deep web, but the site remains undiscovered. Another page led to a website containing yet another recording titled Interconnectedness.
What this reminds me of, for a sec, I'm reacting. There's a movie called Cloverfield, if you guys remember the movie Cloverfield. And when that movie came out, I was really hyped for it, because I was a big fan of J.J. Abrams, I loved Lost. And before Cloverfield released, they actually had a promo just like this, obviously much easier, but you had to like hack stuff. Like there was a Twitter account or Facebook, and they had a picture of a whale that was killed, and then you had to like go to this website and click on this video and blah. And the promo of Cloverfield was like this, obviously much easier, but you had to like find out stuff, and you will find more and more about the monster and about this company and shit. That was really cool, man. The problem is you couldn't do that nowadays. Imagine Fast and the Furious 10 has like something like that, with 99% of people like, oh, I don't understand why on the Big Mac. So you gotta be careful with that. But that was really cool
However, a significant portion of the book has yet to be translated. The runic text on some of the pages appear to be obfuscated by layers of encryption that has yet to be decrypted. Of the 74 pages featuring runes, only 19 have been successfully translated. As 2015 came and went without the launch of a new puzzle, many came to suspect the Liber Primus had to be completed if Cicada was to return. This was more or less confirmed at the beginning of 2016, when Cicada encouraged...
Another thing I feel like, it's so sad that intelligent people that make stuff like this don't go into government.
...a re-examination.
Man, I'm really having a lot of boomer thoughts lately.
More than 4 years have now gone by, with minimal progress and near complete silence from Cicada. Questions raised by the original image have gone ignored. What is the purpose of these puzzles? Who's behind them? What happens when you reach the end? When the initial image appeared on 4chan back in 2012, many assumed Cicada 3301 to be an alternate reality game designed by a corporation to promote a new service or product. For example, Microsoft developed an elaborate ARG back in 2001 to promote the film Artificial Intelligence, and a similar viral marketing campaign was used to promote the release of Halo 2. But the release of subsequent puzzles and the complete lack of commercialization has more or less eliminated that possibility. If we choose to believe some of the leaked information from the private end stage of each puzzle, then we do gain some insight into who this group might be. For example, at the end of the first puzzle, finalists supposedly received this email. In it, Cicada described themselves as an international group who believe that privacy is an inalienable right. The aim of each puzzle is to recruit like-minded individuals in an effort to develop privacy-conscious solutions. The email then concludes with 3 questions. The PGP signature, which would have confirmed the authenticity of the email, was conveniently removed by the leaker. If a version with a valid signature does exist online, I was unable to find it. But regardless of its legitimacy, I find this question a bit odd. It reads, "Do you believe that information should be free?" Assuming the expected answer is yes, then the very first sentence, "Do not share this information," seems a bit hypocritical. While the idea of a secret society recruiting individuals by means of elaborate cryptographic puzzles may seem a bit...
I would think that it was just a bunch of people with too much free time. Basic dudes that are really good and intelligent with hacking and they know what they're doing and they just creating like some group where they think they're gonna do something, but in the end they actually don't have any power.
Absurd or even conspiratorial. It's not entirely unfounded. Corporations and governments alike have employed similar recruitment techniques since at least the Second World War. In 2013, the British intelligence agency GCHQ launched a recruitment program known as Can You Find It? Participants had to decrypt a number of cryptograms hidden across the internet, and those who managed to solve the entire puzzle were offered a prize or a position at the agency. Google did something similar with enigmatic billboards back in 2004, and the US Navy launched a near-identical project in 2014. Okay, but then what about the recruits? Why have we not heard from these chosen few? Well, we have. It's just that separating a legitimate finalist from an imposter is virtually impossible. In a 2015...
Shouldn't you just follow the guy? There was a guy who showed a video. Look, I got the picture. I will try to find this guy, because he's probably obviously a finalist.
Interview with Rolling Stone, 2 alleged winners of the first puzzle chronicled the events beyond the final stage. After receiving an email from Cicada, they were taken to a forum on the dark web. Here they could communicate with 20-some-odd recruits as well as a handful of established members of Cicada. They were told that Cicada 3301 had been founded by a group of friends who shared common ideals about security, privacy, and censorship. The goal was to work as a collective to develop software applications in line with that ideology. As friends recruited friends, this secret society quickly expanded into a decentralized international organization. The recruits were then tasked with developing software that fit the ideology of the group, and members of Cicada would oversee their progress. But without the allure of a puzzle to be solved, the recruits quickly lost interest.
You're trying to recruit people, they're like, oh, the puzzle's over. Go away with your dumb shit.
By the end of 2012, all but one had left, and a few months later, the site was gone.
Good job,
They never heard from Cicada again.
Oh, God.
One of the 2 winners, named Marcus Wanner, later elaborated further in a video by YouTuber Nox Populi. Furthermore, Nox Populi himself claims to be a winner of the second puzzle, so I reached out to him and this is some of what he had to say. After completing the final stages of the second puzzle, Nox Populi received an invitation to join Cicada 3301. However, he was not invited to a website but was instead merely told to be patient. Then, around May of 2013, all communication with Cicada abruptly ceased.
In the end, they were just a
this
bunch
was
of
around the same time as when the website
puzzle.
dedicated to the winners of the first puzzle was suddenly taken down. Nox Populi later contacted other winners of the second puzzle to compare notes, and their experiences were identical. In his own words, all the stories were the same. We were invited to join 3301, then something happened, and silence followed a request for patience.
I would think this was a group of intelligent guys that really know what they're doing, but once it actually comes down to doing something like a company and working on something like a software was too much for them.
Nox Populi supposed that roughly 5 others completed the second puzzle, in contrast to the 20-odd winners of the first. In regards to who or what Cicada is, Nox Populi believes they could be a remnant of the cypherpunk movement of the late 80s and 90s. Essentially a small group of activists advocating widespread use of strong cryptography and privacy-enhancing technologies, but he admits that there is no way to know for certain. If you want a far more comprehensive walkthrough of these puzzles as opposed to my brief overview, Nox Populi has produced a number of videos on his channel which I highly recommend.
I don't want to sound like an ass, but that was quite boring.
While these accounts cannot be verified, they do make for a very compelling argument as to what Cicada is. A group of anonymous developers
it's nice to raise awareness for data breaches and privacy on the internet. We all have issues with that, right? Twitch was just fully leaked, man. Some hacker knows all my info now, but
seeking to develop privacy-conscious applications by recruiting talented individuals via cryptographic puzzles. Sure, it is not nearly as exciting as a shadow government seeking world domination or any of the more fantastical theories, but it is certainly more plausible. You have to keep in mind that no part of these puzzles would have required more than one person. The posters are often pointed to as evidence that this must be the work of some international organization, but I beg to differ. I mean, right now, I could use any number of services to hire random persons around the globe to install posters for me. Although, given that no poster was located more than an hour away from an airport leads me to believe that one or multiple persons actually traveled to these locations. I mean, some of the posters were found within walking distance of an international airport.
Let's calm down now, for man.
The fact is that anyone with a disposable income and enough time on their hands would be able to create...
Dude, I'm far more impressed by a guy that fucking hacked Twitch, man. That's... Like... I have this capitalist mindset nowadays where I feel like if you would use your time for something, make it worthwhile. And this just seemed so not worthwhile, man. I don't know. I wasn't so impressed. Sorry, man.